crisp and fine. Okay, so I have not uploaded in a while. It's been about 3 years.
Welcome back to the Land of the Living.
Yeah. Difference now. No longer blonde. I'm not blind. That's the main difference. But yeah, I'm back. But yeah, so what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to do like a regular schedule of videos, starting with Marvel Mondays, Theatre Thursdays, and a vlog for myself at weekends, building up to a little adventure that I'm having in autumn. So that'll be coming soon. Excited about that. More information about that soon. But yeah, welcome to Marvel Mondays. Cheesy as fuck, I know. But yeah, we're going to do the whole podcast thing. With me today is Jack, my best friend. He's the Ned to my Peter.
No, I'm the Peter to your Tony.
Yeah. In honour of Marvel Mondays, I'm dressed in typical Peter Parker, Tom Holland, you know, that sort of casual style. But yeah.
I'm decidedly not. I'm wearing a Panic at the Disco shirt, so...
Isn't anymore. Speaking of casuals, Filthy Casual here hasn't seen a lot of Marvel movies, but we're going to be fine.
To be fair, a lot of the gaps that I have in my Marvel knowledge are similar ones to you. Like, I think the few Marvel films I haven't seen, I think there's one that we're both going to get slated for, so I'll save that one for later.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's two that we'd both get slated for. Yeah, you know which ones I mean.
Yeah, keep on.
So yeah, there's two films that we've both not seen, and then there's a few that I haven't seen that you have. But I've been slowly sort of filling my knowledge back up.
Yeah.
Like the only ones that I haven't seen as of now is I haven't seen Iron Man 3. Haven't seen any of the Thor sequels because, well, I watched half of The Dark World and couldn't continue watching it, and since then the first movie that I have watched with Thor in it since that point was when I watched Endgame, because I didn't even watch Infinity War until like today. Yeah, like I've been playing catch up because I wanted to see Endgame, and I kind of went into it knowing the lore without having seen the movies. So going back and watching them now with like a different perspective is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like seeing all the sort of storyline after it's panned out is kind of an odd sort of perspective to have. Whereas you've seen most of the MCU, I think.
Pretty much all of it.
I think there's only like a couple of sequels that you've not seen.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of the ones that you haven't seen are the same ones as I have. Yeah.
But yeah, we're not just talking MCU, we're talking Sony, Fox.
So like Raimi's Spider-Man's fair game, Amazing Spider-Man fair game, Venom, which you haven't seen, but I have.
Not seen that yet.
I have seen that. I saw it very close to release date. In fact, it was like the day after release date. Saw it in October. I actually quite liked Venom, but that's a topic for later. Yeah, so stuff like that. Fantastic Four as well, X-Men. Haven't seen most of the X-Men series. I watched first couple, and then I haven't watched like any of them apart from Apocalypse since that point.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well.
My X-Men knowledge is rather lacking. I haven't even seen like any of the Wolverine ones, because the only one I saw was Origins, and I had the same situation as I did with Dark World, where it kind of turned me off the character.
Yeah. Origins was a fun time. But yeah, let's start. What's first topic?
Favourite movie.
Favourite movie. So we're doing
Favourite Marvel movie.
Ensemble and solo.
Will be a separate topic.
So, favourite solo film for me, gotta be Far From Home, because I adore Spider-Man, I love him. I adore Spider-Man, and Far From Home, Tom Holland played both Peter Parker and Spider-Man really, really, really well, and it was an amazing villain, but I'll get to that later.
See, that's something that I want to... Oh, by the way, huge spoilers, because I'm glad you...
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm glad you've just said amazing villain without, like, saying who it was, because pretty much everyone who's watching this will have seen Far From Home.
Yeah.
But just in case anyone hasn't, there will be a lot of...
I've got like a
spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Big spoiler alert will like flash on the screen at some point in post. So yeah, I really, really liked Far From Home, but it's always going to be difficult for me to really get into Tom Holland as Spider-Man, because I haven't seen Andrew Garfield's, I've only seen Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland, and I absolutely loved Tobey Maguire because it was like my nostalgic thing as a kid. I watched all the Spider-Man movies, so seeing there be a new Spider-Man, it's different but kind of the same. Like, I think personally Tobey Maguire made a better Peter, and Tom Holland's a better like all-rounder. But like they could draw a lot of parallels. I think they tried, especially in Far From Home, to really, especially like in that ending scene, they really tried to drive home the fact that it's still Spider-Man, it's still the same Spider-Man, just a different person playing him.
Yeah.
Because, like, basically, if you've seen Far From Home at this point...
The mid-credit scene.
The mid-credit scene.
Bringing
like,
back J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah
I'm not even
Jameson.
talking about J.K. Simmons. I'm talking about the whole swinging through the city with MJ in his arms thing. That was, you know, it was a good little nod to... It was a nice little teaser for what was coming next, which was the J.K. Simmons as Jonah Jameson coming back and being like...
Just, it's so good.
I was half expecting him to slam his fist on the desk and say, "Fetch me pictures of Spider-Man," to be quite honest.
Damn Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so favourite solo film. Go.
Are we talking solo as in one hero? We're talking solo as in...
You can have the Guardians in there.
Guardians 2. Gotta be Guardians 2 for me because of Ego.
That
Absolutely
line.
love it. That line, the one... You all know the line. Broke my heart to put that tumour in her head. The soundtracks for me are so important. And Guardians 1 and 2, it's very hard for me to differentiate the soundtracks because they're very similar. But both of them have music that I love. I like Guardians 2 better because I saw it more recently, so it's more in my brain. Because, like, Mr. Blue Sky.
Oh, yeah.
In the first one, Hooked on a Feeling. And then, like, the chain in the plane when Peter just beats the ever-loving crap out of Ego. It's just such a good moment, and the soundtrack perfectly like encapsulates that.
Yeah.
And James Gunn knows what he's doing with music. James Gunn has a similar respect for music and filmmaking that Edgar Wright has, and that is why I think I kind of am drawn to the Guardians movies, is because Edgar Wright is like my favourite director of all time. So
yeah,
James Gunn doing something very similar, because he's done it in a lot of movies. Even looking at, like, this is going to sound dumb, but if you look at the old, this is a bit of a tangent, but you know the old Scooby-Doo movies that James Gunn did, the music in them was really good.
Yeah.
Like, you remind me of The Babe, like the sort of rock cover. I don't know who did the cover, but it was like a more sort of like...
Please tell me you know what that's from.
Yeah, it's from Labyrinth.
Yes.
Obviously
Thank God,
but
you're
like,
not too young.
But yeah, like, it was... The music's very important, and Guardians, for that reason, is my favourite, if you count it as a solo film. If not, probably high up there with my favourite ensemble film.
Yeah.
Speaking of
ensemble, I am torn with this. I'm torn between Endgame and Civil War, because Civil War had basically everyone up to that point introduced Spider-Man, and, you know, I love Wanda Maximoff. I'm going to put that out there now. I adore her.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. And having her be the reason that the Sokovia Accords come into place, like that, is it Lagos? It's Lagos that they're at the start. Having her be the sort of like catalyst for that, like, it really set into motion where I think they're going to go with her character, which we'll get onto later. But I'm torn between Civil War and Endgame, because that last portal scene, oh my Christ, that was something else. That last battle scene, and I know I am also very annoyed that they killed off Black Widow. Spoilers. She should have been there in the final battle. Hawkeye should have died. I'm telling you that now.
I disagree, but that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing.
Her arc ended perfectly, and I think that was where it should have gone.
Yeah.
Plus, she's got a prequel coming, whereas Hawkeye's movie deserves to be a sequel because his arc isn't done.
TV show.
Oh, it's a TV show?
TV show.
I know, his is set in the present, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not a prequel, whereas hers is obviously a prequel because she's dead. He deserves his arc to be closed properly. Her arc was wrapped up well, because she got a lot of screen time in Cap's movies,
Yeah.
whereas Hawkeye was in Avengers. He was in Civil War, Thor, briefly. He was
Like
in
2
a lot.
minutes.
He was in a lot of movies briefly. I'm gonna say he had about the same amount of screen time as Agent Hill.
Agent Hill.
Oh,
Um,
but yeah, that's your take. My
Ensemble.
take for Ensemble, it's very difficult for me, because mine are all for various different reasons.
Pick one. One. You have to pick one
So
that you would
said two though. You said
I said I'm
Civil
torn.
War
No, I
or
said I'm torn. I
Endgame.
said I'm torn.
I'm torn as
okay,
well.
Fine, go.
Civil War for me, my favourite heroes, we'll get to it later, but a lot of my favourite heroes were either a major part in that film or had a lot of good parts in that film. Like, I really like... He's not necessarily like my favourite, but I really like Rhodey.
Yeah.
I just kind of like his sort of chemistry with Stark. Scott Lang, Spider-Man was introduced in that film, and they did it so well. Like, it flows perfectly. It's almost like he's already been introduced.
Yeah.
Like, they brought him in, and we're just like, okay, here's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, okay. Like,
when Queens flashed up on screen, the whole cinema just like was screaming, and it annoys me sometimes when people make noise in cinemas. But the only times I think it's acceptable is when the Queens thing popped up, and in Endgame, just for that whole last hour.
Just when Tony goes, okay, Underoos, and he comes flying out, I was like, it just perfectly encapsulates like the chemistry between Tony and Peter, and also the tone of what Homecoming was going to be.
Yeah.
I also especially like that Homecoming started off with a video of that moment, because it was very much like, hey, remember when this thing happened? Yeah, we didn't forget. And then they brought Spider-Man back, and it was like, nice. It was kind of like a little teaser for his own movie. It was great. And yeah, like a lot of the comedy in that movie, it kind of takes away the sort of... It's a very, very, very grim movie.
Oh, yeah.
And like...
Horrifically.
Because I know you've mentioned to me, you've read the comic of Civil War,
yeah,
and it's a lot
darker. Did it for my research for my dissertation.
It's a lot darker.
Oh God!
Yeah, exactly,
oh, God,
exactly.
Yeah.
And what I'm thinking is, like, the comedy offsets that perfectly. The amount of comedy they had, because they had Spider-Man, they had Ant-Man, they had like
Bucky and Falcon.
Not only did they have Bucky and Falcon, they had Bucky and Falcon interacting with Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. They had Cap. Because Cap gets some good lines, especially see that's Winter Soldier, but Cap after Winter Soldier got kind of like more loose, because obviously it's like he's less of a sort of I am the government.
It's because
like, he becomes more like disillusioned. Yeah,
that's what I'm for.
Yeah, but yeah, my personal pick would have to be Civil War. However, I would have classed, if you hadn't have said Guardians was a solo film, I would have classed Guardians as an ensemble. And the other one that I'm torn between isn't actually Endgame, it's Infinity War.
Yeah.
Because I watched that very, very recently.
I mean, about 5 hours ago.
Yeah. And just there's some moments in that film that are just amazing. I think it's the only time I've ever seen a Marvel film not have a happy ending.
Yeah, that's what I like about that.
Even though you know there's going to be another part, like, it doesn't get a happy ending. Neither does Endgame.
No.
Endgame not only does it not get a happy ending, it doesn't get an after credit scene.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Marvel did that so well.
It's that bittersweet tone at the end of Endgame where you realise they are fully capping off this massive storyline they've built up for years. And I think if we would, like, when I went to the cinemas, I watched them both together, and I really, really enjoyed watching them as one film. I feel like as a closing chapter, Infinity War and Endgame together is just the perfect Marvel movie.
The perfect moment in Infinity War is we're in the Endgame now.
Yeah.
Because that moment, it teased the next movie. It told you exactly what the next movie was going to do. Not just the title, it said to you, this is the end of the line. this is where something is going down.
Yeah.
You didn't know, unless you read the comics, you didn't know people were coming back. Because you didn't know they could do that.
Yeah.
Especially with like the first 10 minutes of Infinity War. Until they figure out how they can... Endgame, sorry. Until they figure out how they can bring people back, that's... You know, that's it. Like, as far as they know, they're never coming back.
Yeah. That's what I loved about them two films, is that there weren't this big, happy, jolly, oh, let's fight the bad guys. It was, right, this is some serious shit.
The thing is, that happened... It became that in Endgame. The first half of Endgame felt like Avengers 1.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like Battle for New York all over again. It was... Was it New York? It literally had that battle in the first half of the end. There was so much more comedy, there was so much, like, sort of brevity, and then it hits you with the... Where's that? And it would...
After that point, that is when it changed for me.
So yeah, for me, favourite ensemble movie is Civil War, but I have to say Infinity War is a close second.
Yeah.
Because it's incredible, it just isn't what I want in a Marvel movie. Like, Endgame would be if it wasn't for the way they handled certain things.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about what you're thinking of. I'm talking about a different character than you, I think.
Who are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of Thor. I know
Yeah.
you're probably thinking of Cap, but I don't like the way they treated Thor in that movie. It felt like they were playing off his condition for laughs.
Yeah.
And that kind of bothered me. Whereas I know you're thinking of how they ended Cap's storyline. That's your big one. And also Nat.
Okay. Moving on. Enough about favourite films.
Let's
flip it round.
Next topic.
Least favourite films. I'm gonna... Okay, this is where we're bringing in not just the MCU. I'm gonna go out and say Fantastic, the remake,
Haven't
the
seen it.
reboot. It is full. I'm trying not to swear.
The thing is,
it's terrible.
The thing is,
it's terrible.
But is it terrible, or is it like funny terrible?
No, it's not even funny.
Like,
terrible.
can you not
It's
even laugh at it like a Tommy like The Room?
No. No,
Because,
it's just
because to me,
terrible.
like I watched a movie once. Basically this is a little bit of a tangent, but there's a movie called Zombies, which is a zombie movie set in a zoo. CG was awful. The whole movie was terrible, and that made it absolutely hilarious. It was probably one of the funniest movies I've ever watched unintentionally, and it was just I could not stop laughing at it. And that for me, if a movie can do that, like it could be intentional for all we know.
No, but it's because the studio meddled with Fantastic. I'm just going to keep calling it that because it doesn't even deserve to be called a Fantastic Four film.
Let's not talk about studio meddling. At least the Snyder Cut.
Okay, so my thing with Fantastic is I love like Fantastic Four. Like I'm very excited to see what Feige does with like with now that
So
Disney have
excited
the
for that.
rights. And he said that we're going to get the film we deserve, but it's just it.
We'll save that. We'll save that for later.
We will
discuss that. We will discuss the redo, the second redo.
Yeah.
Because I think they had it right the first time.
Yeah, I enjoy the original.
Chris
original
Evans as a Human Torch.
Yeah, it's
was
great.
was funny. Like, I don't quite remember the names off the top of my head. Was it Jessica Alba who played?
Jessica Alba played Invisible Woman.
Don't know who was Reed.
Ewan Grufford. I can't pronounce it because it's Welsh.
And
oh
who
god,
was Ben? I can always pull this up at some point. But yeah, it was a good movie. It was fun. I really liked Rise of the Silver Surfer because I'm not invested in the comics. So to me, Galactus, it was like, see, he hates this, but I don't particularly care about Galactus. Like, it's important to me that the comics are like done justice, but it's not the most important thing to me.
I just want Galactus with that massive, stupid helmet.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
It makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense for you to want that. But the thing is, you've got to think to fans.
Oh, by the way, we're not sponsored by Red Bull. We're just very much addicted to it.
But we should be.
Red Bull, if you're out there watching.
Yeah, if anyone,
Hear me, please.
Anyone from Red Bull's out there, you sponsor Gorillas, you can do it for us.
I just don't. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore because it doesn't deserve to get talked about.
So yours is Fantastic.
Fantastic, by far. Terrible.
See,
film.
I'm not going to talk about the ones I haven't seen. Haven't seen Fantastic. Haven't seen Amazing Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man 2. I have seen one clip from Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it was one of the worst things I've ever seen because it was Andrew Garfield playing Spider-Man. It wasn't Spider-Man. It's you know, in that fight scene where he's cracking jokes and stuff, where it's like people's lives are in danger. Yeah. Spider-Man wouldn't do that. He has a laugh, but he has a laugh like at his expense.
Yeah.
He would never like cost someone almost getting like hit by a car.
I'm just going to kind of just before you continue, Amazing Spider-Man 2. They had the balls to do the Gwen Stacy scene, and the minute like when the trailer dropped and she was wearing the same outfit from I think it was Amazing Spider-Man 121, I think the comic was, when Gwen Stacy died, and it's literally like shot for shot.
But the thing is, you might have wanted that, but you like to the general audience, it's a good scene. Like I've seen the thing, but like it's not what the Spider-Man movie general audience wants. It might be what the comic audience wants. It might even be what the MCU audience might even want it. But the main bulk of Spider-Man's audience is like young teenagers, and that's got to be like a very dark place to put them in.
That's what. But I think
it's
that's
good.
That's what Marvel are going to do. I think that's what they're going to do.
I think Marvel are going to go dark with it, but I don't think they will. I don't think they'll kill off anybody main.
Maybe Ned.
No, I don't think they will. I don't think they will kill off anyone main. That's something I want to mention later. I do think they will kill someone off in that movie, but that is a thing for later. But yeah, least favourite movie for me. Haven't seen any of the Amazing Spider-Man films. Haven't seen Spider-Verse. That's what I'm going to get a lot of flack for. Haven't seen half. Dark World's got to be the only movie I've ever turned off in the middle. So that's.
Yeah. Malekith had no, like, his motivations were absolutely, like, it was terrible. That final fight scene.
Well, I haven't even seen it. You know what? I will hold my hands up and say I'm not going to criticise Dark World for anything but being boring.
Yeah.
It's the only movie ever that I have turned off in the middle having not seen it before. It's the only movie I have ever not wanted to know how it ends. Like, every other movie, like, even gory stuff, I've sat through. Or, like, movies that are just bad. I've sat through, hoping they're going to get better at the end. Dark World is the only movie I've ever turned off, and that is why, for me, it is maybe not my least favourite, but it's the worst Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Because you just can't really redeem that. No. Like, it. I'm so glad that Taika Waititi has the fourth as Love and Thunder, isn't it? That's been confirmed.
Because he really turned around. He really turned around Thor with Ragnarok.
Yeah.
He really did. But yeah.
So yeah, that's for me. It's Dark World.
Dark World and Fantastic are both terrible.
I refuse to finish. I haven't watched Fantastic.
Don't put yourself through it.
I'm planning on watching it at some point because I'm going to go through all of them and literally just definitively say these are the worst and these are the best.
Yeah.
But Dark World for me I will never rewatch it unless I absolutely have to. Like,
fair.
Like, I will only ever rewatch it if I plan on watching the 4 movies in order. Because at some point, I'll probably watch Iron Man 1, 2 and 3 in order. Then Thor 1, 2 and 3 in order. Because having seen Avengers, I don't really have to rewatch that. So I can go back through, like, Hulk and Iron Man's all in order without missing out on anything.
Yeah.
And then go back and watch Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, Dark World.
Cool. What's next? Top 5 heroes.
Well, we all know who your top favourite is.
Good old Spidey.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was Wanda.
I'm torn. Okay, so top 5, I'm going to say...
Stuck nowhere.
This is in no order. Spider-Man. Well, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Because I've still not seen Spider-Verse. Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch. Cap. Oh, God. Rocket. Rocket makes me absolutely wet myself laughing.
Mine's going to be so different.
And I'm trying to think, who else? Who else? Black Panther. I really like Black Panther.
Good pick, to be fair.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen Black Panther, the movie, but I've seen all the other movies he's been in.
Yeah.
'Cause I've seen Civil War, I've seen
Infinity War and
Endgame. Are those the only ones he's been in? Has he not been in any of the other... I don't think he has he?
No. Oh
Wait, no, he was in Winter Soldier, wasn't he? Because...
No,
that was Civil War. I always
Civil
get the parts in those movies mixed up because it almost feels like it flows that's one thing I will say about those movies is they flow too well.
Yeah.
Like I always forget where the line is drawn between the end and the start of the two because it's been that long since I've watched. Like I watched them both around about the same time actually because I rewatched Winter Soldier and I then watched Civil War and literally they felt like they flowed into each other. It was really well done, and that actually is a problem for me because I always tend to mix up where stuff falls into two films because it's kind of like they're encapsulated scenes on their own, and all the scenes are incredible, but put together in the two movies, it's hard to place them because they're kind of self-contained.
Yeah. Right. Top 5. Go.
Top 5. Like if we're talking just heroes.
Just heroes.
Are we counting like Fury and the agents?
Yeah.
So for me, Nick Fury's got to be up there. Ant-Man. I absolutely love Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I really like Hawkeye. Like I don't know if I put him in my top 5 necessarily, but I'm gonna just for the purposes of this. I really like sort of his style of humor in Endgame.
Yeah.
I really like him as Ronin.
That 5 minute glimpse we got.
I like his whole aesthetic. He's just one of the characters that because I've always been more of like an archery type.
Yeah.
It's very much enjoyable for me to sort of watch someone like running around and shooting arrows. Would just like it's one of the reasons why I like DC. Like I like Green Arrow.
Yes.
But yeah, so there's them 3.
We're not talking about the other studios, is it?
So yeah, there's those 3, and then I would have to say Groot. Groot's definitely up there. And this is so difficult. Nebula's got to be up there.
She should have killed Thanos.
The reason why I kind of struggled to... Because Nebula obviously started off kind of a villain.
Yeah. I mean, she was fully a villain.
Not fully, because isn't it in Guardians 1 that she's like... She turns around a little bit.
Slightly, yeah.
Doesn't she... I can't remember all the plot points. Like, it's been so long since I watched Guardians 1. I've watched Guardians 2 very recently. But Guardians 1 I haven't watched in a long time. But yeah, like, there's good in her. And that's what I like, is her character development. She goes from that point to literally being, like, one of the people going to save the world. Like, she gives Tony the food on the ship to keep him alive, because she's more machine than person. And that's why it's literally like... I just love Nebula.
Yeah.
And I love Karen Gillan.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Okay.
So yeah, that's my top 5.
Top 5. Man, next is... I want to say team-ups or villains? Team-ups?
I want to say it's team-ups.
Yeah.
Team-ups.
Favourite team-up. So this is not counting ensemble films. I am going to go out and say that just any time... I'm going to say Winter Soldier. So, Cap, Black Widow, and Falcon. That trio of heroes, I love that. I love the friendship that Cap and Black Widow have. Like, when driving to the base in New Jersey, driving to the base in New Jersey, she's got her feet up on the dashboard, and he's like, we're borrowing this. I love their friendship, and I love how that played out even in Endgame, that there was still, like, we stand a healthy male-female friendship. Like, when she offers him the peanut butter sandwich.
Oh.
Like...
They're just... Quality content.
Quality content. I just love them 3 teaming up together.
Yeah, I think it's great. One of my favourite team-ups... I've got a couple that I really enjoy, but I don't necessarily know which one's my favourite. I really like Rhodey and Stark together.
Yeah.
Just like End of Iron Man 2. Rhodey and Stark, just bantering with each other and shooting everything. Like it was like Stark and his protege before he had Peter, basically, because he was teaching Rhodey how to use the suit and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like they were setting up Stark as a mentor, and I really enjoyed that. And then I guess my other main one is like, I don't know if this really counts. It's not a hero team up, but Peter and Ned.
Yeah.
Like
Their
Ned
friendship.
being his guy in the chair. I love that. I love that he's like the guy in the chair. I just love that he calls himself that, and it's so funny. I really like those ones. There's a couple other ones that I would want to talk about, but like that's kind of my favourites, so keep it down to that.
Next up, villains, I think.
Dun dun.
Yeah,
dun.
villains. Spoiler alert for Far From Home coming up right
we
now.
We already know who you're going for then.
Mysterio. I loved what they did with Mysterio when they tried to pass him off as a good guy the whole way, all the marketing. I was like,
you know
guys,
what? The thing is, though, anyone who knows the source material even slightly, because I
slightly.
haven't read the comics, but I still know that Mysterio is a villain.
Yeah.
Everyone who knew the comics was like,
Sinister Six.
Wait, Mysterio's good in
He
this?
was a member of the Sinister Six.
And then
No one was
he
killed.
was the villain. Like, it was so clever the way they did it as well, because they didn't just make him evil Mysterio. They didn't just make him take the glasses and go,
Evil.
haha, now I have control over the drones and I can fly. Like, because he couldn't fly.
No.
He never could. And
It
that's
was-
amazing. The way that they just turned it around, and the fact that they technically been setting it up for, I know, like, they hadn't
Since-
actually, because you didn't know he was there.
Yeah.
But that setup is clever, because if you looked in the background of that film, obviously you wouldn't see him, but just think if they could have gone back and done that.
Yeah.
They could, if they wanted to, they could have planned it
That
in
far
advance,
in advance.
and put Jake Gyllenhaal in the back of that shot, and that would have been incredible.
Yeah.
I know they didn't do that, but it kind of sets your gears turning and thinking, should I rewatch that movie again? Should I go see if he's in the background? Because like, it messed with your head a lot.
Yeah.
That whole movie is about messing with your head. Like,
I just want to talk about his last line
man.
before he dies. Is like he's talking about how people believe anything now, and like that's a thing. The world of the MCU, because of what happened in Endgame, people will believe anything in that universe. And he was an opportunist. He knew now that Stark was gone, he could be the new Iron Man. And it was sort of like, I'd love Mysterio. I've loved him since I had to battle him in Spider-Man 2, the video game, when he attacked Statue of Liberty with the alien things. Oh, absolutely.
Let's not get on to
brilliant.
Spider-Man 2, the video game. We'll talk about video games a little bit later.
Yeah.
We'll add that sort of as a little addendum on the end. I want to say my favourite villain. It's very difficult for me. Again, it's always sort of torn, because there's a lot of villains that I enjoy, but aren't good villains.
Yeah.
Like,
Who?
I really loved I think it was called Abomination?
Abomination,
in Hulk?
Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, I liked that movie. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people say, oh, skip it if you're rewatching the MCU. But I really liked that movie because it was just fun. It was a fun movie. It was one that was like dark, but not dark enough that me as a child couldn't watch it. Like, yeah, it was one that like wasn't like emotionally harrowing. It was just dark, as in like body horror kind of thing. And it wasn't even that bad. Like, it was a fun movie to watch. And then I think another villain that I really enjoyed is I've forgotten his name now.
Which film?
Iron Man, the first one.
Oh, Obadiah Stane.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was a really fun villain. Did you? I can never remember the actor's name. It's Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
Did you know about the whole like scripting thing for that movie? where basically they didn't operate on a script for most of the movie. Like, a lot of it was improvised.
Jesus.
Because they didn't have the script done. Like, basically, it was RDJ is very good at like more sort of flowy, like kind of doing what he wants, and because of that, it wasn't like Jeff Bridges was very much not ready for that. Like Robert Downey Jr. had to like teach him the ways, and that's one of the coolest things to me, especially because it works. It works as a movie, and it's
perfect jumping off point.
Yeah, exactly. It was so good.
I'm just gonna add in another villain that I absolutely adore. Again, one of my other favourite films, Zemo.
I was going to say
War.
Zemo. Zemo is my...
He does what he accomplishes what he set out to do.
Basically, Zemo isn't my favourite villain, but in my opinion, objectively, Zemo is the best villain.
Yeah.
Like, my favourite villain is probably Obadiah Stane, because he's a fun villain. It's a big robot fight.
Yeah.
It's a big robot fighting a little robot, and the little robot wins. It's like...
But
it's
Zemo
really fun to watch. But Zemo...
tore apart the Avengers.
Zemo is the only villain, I'll say the only villain to win, because Thanos didn't really win. He won, but then it got undone.
Yeah.
So he won, but he had to win twice, and he didn't win twice. He won the battle, but he didn't win the war.
Yeah.
Zemo literally did exactly what he set out to do, and it didn't get undone. It kind of did, but
there's always going to be that tension.
There's always that tension, because there was that line from Tony to Cap
when he comes back in Endgame, when he was like, "Oh yeah, I have nothing. Like,
I have
no
nothing
trust.
to say to you, no trust, liar," and it's just so.
That's what I love. Okay, that's what I love about Civil War is the repercussions are felt throughout the entire MCU after that. Everything changed after that point, and that's why I love that as the perfect start to Phase 3.
Yeah, because everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
We're editing that out. We're editing,
No, we're not.
Personal note, we're editing that out because we're not talking about great TV shows right now. We're talking about this. Not Avatar, Marvel.
I just want to listen.
Listen. Okay.
Listen.
So, we're going Zemo, Obadiah Stane, and who's that, say? Mysterio.
Zemo is the best villain. Obadiah Stane is my favourite villain.
And Mysterio is just... Oh, I love Mysterio.
I love him.
I love him.
He's a good dude. He's not, but he was good.
He's a good dude.
He's a good villain. He's not a good dude.
And last, I think this is the last topic. It is... Yes, it is.
We got two more.
No.
I think... Oh, no, is this the last one? Yeah, because I added Heroes top 5 in afterwards.
Right, Jack and Ori, explain Flight-Path.
Flight-Path, basically, Flight-Path means where do we think it's going to be? Or not necessarily...
Specifically, this.
Yeah, where do we think the MCU is headed? Usually it's for where, like, a flight path is normally where you want something to go, but I'm using it to basically say, where do we think it's going to be? Should we say, where do we think it's heading it for the next 5 years?
For the next
next
5.
phase, I guess?
Phase 4 and 5.
Phase 4 and 5, because we already know what's coming out in Phase 4.
Yeah.
It's been confirmed.
But is that all it is?
Well, yeah.
Oh.
They've confirmed, like, the run of Phase 4.
That is just Phase 4.
As far as I'm aware, unless they add anything afterwards,
yeah,
what's been confirmed
is Phase 4.
Phase 4. And then Phase 5 is nothing yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let's talk about Phase 4 first.
Okay, we've got Eternals. Well, we've got Black Widow, we've got Eternals, we've got Shang-Chi.
I want to say Guardians 3 is confirmed, but it's not confirmed in Phase 4.
Yeah.
It's confirmed that it's being worked on. It will be a part of Phase 4, but the question is where it will fall. Because there's no release date confirmed yet. It's coming out soon, we know that much.
James Gunn's filming Suicide Squad first, and then he's going to work on Guardians 3.
That's why we haven't got a confirmed date as far as I'm aware. So basically, Guardians 3, I want... The problem will be, if Guardians isn't before Love and Thunder... the thing is, they've mentioned that Jane Foster's going to be Thor. So they might have a Thor movie that doesn't have Chris Hemsworth in it.
Yeah.
which is very fucking exciting, pardon my language. But they might have a Thor movie with no Thor.
They'll have Thor, just not Chris Hemsworth.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they will have a Thor movie.
I think that's what they're going to do, you know.
And I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to be... I've been saying this for a while, but I expected it to be coming out sooner because I didn't know about the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's a sequel.
Sort of like a soft reboot.
Yeah.
With Margot Robbie still as Harley Quinn.
Mm.
Which...
Do we know who the Joker's going to be?
I don't know.
Because I don't know if I thought they might bring Leto back, but a lot of people hated him as Joker.
I enjoyed him.
That's
all we're going to talk about with DC. Because
yeah,
we don't mention their name right now. Sorry.
But yeah, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will be called as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I want it to be as Guardians of the Galaxy because I want it to be I want it to be a 90s soundtrack because obviously he's got the Zune.
Yeah.
And he can download any music. And I want that to be a key point in the thing, is the soundtrack in each Guardians film advances. Because obviously it was 80s for the first and the second.
70s first one.
Was it? I thought it was...
A lot
there was
70s.
some 80s. There was some 80s in
some
there,
80s,
wasn't
some
there?
70s.
Yeah. So it was like a very, very much a mix.
That one night. Imagine if...
And then 2 was a lot of 80s. In fact, I think it was all 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I want 90s music in... Because can you imagine...
Groot listening to
like...
Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Oh
Imagine
my god,
that.
yes. No, because the thing is, Groot's going to be an adult Groot, isn't he, by the time?
Yeah.
Or at least like a young adult. Because he was a teen in...
Up until Endgame.
Up until Endgame. Well, yeah, because he came back straight away in Endgame. But because they might have a few years between, in terms of, because obviously the characters will have aged, like the actors even. So they might move the story on a couple of years, or even just a couple of months, and say like it's been a little bit of time. But yeah, basically, I want as Guardians of the Galaxy. I want the banter between Thor and the whole like Guardians crew, and I want Chris Pratt to get his Star-Lord. I want Star-Lord to get humbled properly.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't really seen any consequences yet
of his actions.
Because all of his actions, the consequences have been undone.
Yeah.
Because he didn't really trust his group in Guardians 2, and then he fixed the problem. Like it wasn't like he caused the problem, then fixed it himself, and then in Infinity War, he flew off the handle. I'm not going to say it's his fault because he the thing is, people were saying it was out of character at the time, and it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It was completely in character.
It was very much his thing that he would have done. And I'm not, obviously it wasn't like a good decision.
Yeah, the man lost his girlfriend, for crying out loud.
Exactly. And not just lost, she dead.
Dead.
Like
sacrificed for
no getting back, and it was by the man who was gonna kill the half of the entire universe. So
he was bound to be angry.
He was very much in his rights to be angry. It was just he should have listened to Tony.
Speaking of his consequences, do you think that because of the Sovereign still being around, and the fact that they're creating Adam Warlock, that I think he's going to be the main villain in as Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Peter's actions and the actions of the Guardians in general is going to come back to haunt them.
What I want in As Guardians of the Galaxy is Gamora back.
Search for Gamora.
But, no, I want Gamora to be found by the Sovereign. I want there to be some sort of reason why they keep hold of Gamora and use her as some sort of hostage or like a bargaining chip, and she has to realise that she has that connection with the group, and choose to come back to them. Because maybe the Sovereign captures her and she's like, "What do you mean? I don't remember. Don't know what you're talking about. Like I didn't do any of that."
Yeah.
And they're like, "How? What?" And she explains the situation, and basically they kind of take her in, and then she has to choose between them and the Guardians. Kind of like how Star-Lord had to choose between the his dad.
Yeah.
and his actual family, and I like that. And I want them to kind of do that with Gamora because it can redevelop a character to what we've lost.
Yeah.
Which I think would be interesting. Plus, it gives us an opportunity to have Thor kind of get taken down a peg because he's just, won this massive battle. He's kind of done a lot of stuff that was like very much like I am the main hero. I want Thor because he keeps saying he's the strongest Avenger, and he was like he was kind of taking over the whole Guardians crew. I kind of want him to get put down a peg, and I want him to admit that Peter is the main Guardian, but like by the end of the film, because obviously he's going to be leaving them at some point.
Yeah.
So I think Thor should be leaving them by the end of the film, but he should have basically given Star-Lord his confidence back without giving him a massive ego again.
Where do I think it's going to go? Where do I think we're going with this? I think we're building up to Secret Invasion. Now that we've had the confirmation that, spoiler alert, Nick Fury and Maria Hill were Skrulls in Far From Home. I don't know how long that's been going on. I think it's just been since Endgame ended.
Well, no, because the thing is, it was... Nick was only on holiday for a week. They mentioned it was only for a week.
Oh.
Because in case you didn't see, because it's like the end credits scene, some people might not have stuck around for that at Far From Home. Basically, Fury and Maria Hill were replaced with Skrulls. And this was so Nick Fury could go on holiday. And
the man needs it.
Yeah, the man deserves a holiday. But yeah, basically, this whole, like, event in Far From Home happened while these Skrull were in charge. And at the end of the movie, they, like...
Tell me he needs to come back.
They like, go up, they, like, go back to normal, and they're like, hey, Fury, come back. Yeah, this is what's happened. And, yeah, so it was a good scene, it was funny.
Sorry, carry on. I just realised something about where it could potentially go with Eternals.
Yeah. So basically, Fury and Hill were replaced, and then he's like only been on holiday for a week. And he kind of walks out of this little... You think, he's gone to like some...
You think he's into Haiti?
Yeah. And he comes out of this little pod, and he's like, right, everyone back to work. And it's so funny as well because he's walking around in like shorts and a like Hawaiian shirt, and he steps out of this pod, and he's just like...
surrounded by Skrulls.
Yeah. It's great.
What I just realised, the Eternals could bring in the Celestials, and guess who's one of them? Galactus. And then I think we'll bring in Silver Surfer, as he's a herald of Galactus.
Yeah.
So I think we'll bring him in first. I think they'll bring in Silver Surfer first as a bridge to Galactus. And I think Galactus at some point is going to be the new big bad. But we're going to get Doom first. I think we're going to, like...
I think... Sorry to cut you off, but I think they're going to bring in Silver Surfer, and I think either in an end credit scene to tease it or whatever, or straight up in the movie, they're going to be like, oh, don't we know someone who usually deals with this guy? Or, like, don't we know someone... Like, maybe they'll tease Doom, and they'll be like, oh, don't we know, like, people who normally deal with this guy? And it's like... Yeah, but they're kind of dealing with something else right now. And then that something else is Silver Surfer and Galactus. That would be clever because, like, it would be like how in Far From Home, Fury is like, what about Thor off-world? And then that sets up.
Yeah. But there could also, how in the first Avengers film, the Other was talking to Thanos, and that was the first glimpse we got of Thanos in the post-credit scene. If we had something like that with Silver Surfer talking to Galactus, and Galactus just turns around in the same way that Thanos did, teasing him as the big bad. If they do that in the same way, that's like...
I don't want
everything full circle.
I don't want it to be repetitive, though.
No, it won't be repetitive.
I don't want him to do the same sort of, like, shot... Like, it would be clever to do it shot for shot, but I kind of want it to be just a very brief glimpse.
Yeah, the tiniest glimpse.
I want I'll tell you what would be a good way to bring in that whole sort of thing. Is there's a lab, and you don't know who the people are that are working in there, because they don't use the powers, they don't do anything. It's just somebody in an office working. Camera pans out like to where his door is. Door shuts, like someone shuts his door or whatever and leaves his office.
Just Reed Richards.
Reed Richards, and then the camera turns to a window because like someone screams. The camera turns to a window. Silver Surfer comes flying past. That's the end of the credits. Like done. Like that would be. It would bring in Reed. Obviously, the rest of the Fantastic Four. Like maybe Johnny or Ben comes in. Well, it'd have to be Johnny because Ben obviously is made of rocks. But like Johnny maybe comes in and like has a conversation with him, and he's like, "Okay, we'll sort it." Like it's like there's maybe massive energy spikes in this place, and he's like, "Okay, we'll have to see what we can do. I'll try and track it down." And then Johnny walks out of the room. Surfer flies past.
Oh my god, yes.
And it could even work better because if the Surfer flies past, screen goes black, and then you just hear flame on.
Oh, no, I was edit that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could do so many things with it, and literally it'd just be like they've clearly shown that they're not so much pandering, but giving the fans what they want.
Yeah.
And I think that they could do anything with Fantastic Four, and I'm glad they've kind of left it to keep us guessing.
Yeah. And like Kevin, like announced it at thingy, at Comic-Con.
SDCC.
He announced it at Comic-Con saying that he didn't have time to talk about Fantastic Four. So I think we're not going to get a big, massive team up like we did in the Avengers films for a while. I think that's going to be the end of Phase 5. Is going to have like, I think they're going to bring in the new Avengers at some point. I'm also very excited for. Me and my brother had a conversation about this the other day. With the Doctor Strange sequel being called the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
They could easily do House of M at some point because Scarlet Witch is a main player in that. And Multiverse of Madness is going to be a horror film. So they could very easily do like little snippets of what House of M was. And that is a way they could bring in the X-Men. Which, like, if Scarlet Witch does this in a sort of like reverse version of when it said no more mutants in House of M, sort of reverse that with her creating mutants, and that would be incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I think Scarlet Witch is going to be a massive main player from now on. Afterward, like the way we've seen her develop her powers, is just incredible. But yeah, holy crap! I've been talking for 52 minutes.
Right. Here's one more thing I want to mention.
Yes.
As a last little note, this is something that you're definitely going to enjoy talking about. So I'm glad we kind of saved this one to the end. So this is just a little nod. I feel like we should maybe put a link in the description to the film theory.
Yes.
The Spider-Man film theory
about Flash.
About Spider-Man, whatever they call the third one.
Spider-Man Home and Away.
Spider-Man Too Close to Home. But yeah, basically, it's going to be a really good movie.
If they bring Sinister Six in.
And the thing is, they're going to bring the Sinister Six in.
Yeah.
It's very obvious because they've teased so many people.
We've got Vulture, Scorpion. We'll just leave it in a link. We'll leave a link in the thing.
We'll leave it in a link, but I do want to talk about it briefly just to kind of sum it up.
Yeah.
So basically, they teased Chameleon. Don't remember his full name. I don't remember his last name. It's Dimitri something. Yeah. So something starting with an S, but it's like a
big Russian name.
Yeah. But basically, that name in the comics is the name of the Chameleon from the Sinister Six.
Who was a shapeshifter, and lo and behold, he was working. This Dimitri that we're talking about was in Far From Home, working with
the Skrulls.
The Skrulls.
Because he was working for Fury and Hill, who at the time were Skrulls.
Mm-hmm.
So he could have been another Skrull, and that would be a perfect avenue to sort of not only have more Skrull involvement, which would make sense because they teased it in Far From Home. Like, why would they tease the Skrulls in Far From Home unless they were setting it up
as an element Chameleon.
Important in Spider-Man? Yeah. So then there's the Shocker, and obviously they kill the Shocker, but there's like a new guy who then he's like, well, you're the Shocker now.
That's true.
And I think that's important as well, that line, because MatPat mentions in the film theory. It's like you're the Shocker now. Is very clearly him saying like
You're the
you
Shocker.
are the Shocker. Then there's Scorpion. At the end of Homecoming, when Adrian Toomes goes into the prison, and the guy's like, "Oh, I've had trouble with Spider-Man,"
And he's got
a scorpion tattoo on his neck.
Then there's Vulture, obviously. He's already been in.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go into what MatPat said about his character.
Yeah, if you want to know about that, you got to
watch it.
Watch his video, because that was very clever. And I think, because he mentioned about Mysterio, and then he mentioned about Flash.
Yeah, but we're not going to talk about that. That's a surprise.
I do want to say, though, I want to talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
I don't want to give too much away, but it's very hard not to talk about it, because it's something that I'm very excited about. Because if they do bring it in, all I will say is I want to see them bring back Willem Dafoe.
Yes.
Because they brought back J.K.
Simmons.
I always want to call him JJ because J. Jonah Jameson. But J.K. Simmons has been brought back. Give us Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Give us the Goblin again. Because he was absolutely incredible.
And then with Mysterio, that rounds out the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
Which I would love to see. Everyone would love to see.
Everyone would love to see the Sinister Six.
Everyone loves the Sinister Six.
There's one villain from Spider-Man that I like more than the Sinister Six.
Doc Ock.
Nope.
Venom. Carnage.
Sandman.
Oh, Sandman.
I love the Sandman because he's just such a fun...
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like Green Lantern. He's very much like... You can use it in creative ways.
Yeah.
I like that.
See, just talking about Spider-Man 3 in the Raimi trilogy, if it just focused on Sandman and Harry Osborn as the Goblin, that would have been so much better than bringing Venom in as well, because there was no need.
Yeah, what they
Venom
should
shouldn't have been in it.
Venom should have got a solo film, like he did eventually, but Venom should have got a solo film as part of Raimi's set, because it was originally supposed to be Spider-Man 4.
That should have been Venom.
And it probably would have been. It would have been, I reckon, Venom and Carnage.
Yeah.
I feel like Venom and Carnage, Venom should have originally been on Spider-Man, and then some other hero gets introduced and is given the symbiote instead.
Yeah.
They team up to take down Carnage. That would have been a smart way to play it. And instead, I feel like there was a lot of studio meddling in Spider-Man 3,
Yeah,
and then
massive.
they shut down Spider-Man 4. So they kind of played themselves, really. Like,
But yeah, so that's where we think the MCU is going.
Yeah.
Skrulls, Sinister Six, and Galactus. That's where we think it's going.
please, yeah.
Please.
Fix Galactus.
But
Do
yeah.
it right.
That's it. It's been an hour. We've been talking for an
Been
hour.
talking
I
for
hope
57
YouTube
minutes.
don't kill me for this. But yeah.
There will be little bits cut out.
Oh, yeah,
various editing.
Yeah.
Sort of, you know, like bits thrown onto the screen and stuff. Maybe a title card.
Yeah.
And...
But yeah.
Yeah.
Before my phone perishes, like the video, subscribe, hit the bell, whatever. You know the drill.
Do the whole YouTube shebang.
Yeah.
Leave us a comment telling us
How stupid our theories are. Just disagree with
that's
us,
just-
argue with us. 'Cause
leave us a comment talking about. I think the topic that people are going to want to talk about is favorite heroes.
Yeah,
Leave us a comment with your top 5 favorite heroes, because we want to know, and everyone's got very, very different opinions on it. Like, my top 5 favorite heroes aren't all even superpowered heroes.
Yeah.
Like, I count Nick Fury as part of that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. Adios. I don't know how to sign off videos, so yeah, I'll just end it here. Bye!